Hi friends, it's Christina TNT, and I am officially not ready. Hi friends, it's Christina TNT, and school is officially in full swing here in Central Oregon. We started a new routine. My son decided that he wanted to go to a proficiency academy in a neighboring town. It's about 20 miles from our house, and I guess I don't need these on anymore. And that means that our whole schedule has changed. School is a really great opportunity for him. It's a charter school, public charter school, and the thing is, because it's in a neighboring town, it's out of our district, there are only two ways he can get there. He can either ride the public transportation, which at the age of 10, I'm not really sure how I feel about quite yet. Or I can drive him in 20 miles every day and see how that goes. The dilemma with him riding the bus also is that he has to be at the bus stop by 6:30 in the morning, which is pretty early. And then he only goes to school until 12:45 or 1:45, and the bus route wouldn't get him home until almost 3. So there's this large gap that I don't love him just hanging out in town. I've decided that I'm going to drive him every day, and I had to create a whole new schedule and routine that works for me, because I am not going to drive into town, drop him off, then come back to the house to my home office, and then go back to pick him up and come home. So what I'm going to do is drive into town and drop him off, and then stay in town the days. And on Tuesdays, we have scouts in Redmond at the same town, so we will actually just not even come home that day. We have to plan on being gone before 7 a.m. and we usually don't get back until 9. So there's a lot of planning that has to go into place for this. But ultimately, the reason for this video is because I get a lot of people all the time asking me, how do I do it? How do I do it all? How am I able to maintain the schedule that I do, the discipline that I have, to being an independent contractor, a business owner, working for myself, being an attentive mom, an avid volunteer in my community and my industry, running a homestead, and all of the other things that I managed to do. So I wanted to share with you guys how I actually figured out what works for me. And this isn't a productivity video that I'm going to show you step by step how I do it. I'm going to tell you the reasons why I do what I do and how I came to figure that out. To me, that makes a lot more sense, because there are a lot of other hacks and tips and different things that you can look for, but I'm going to tell you what I do and how I figured out this is going to work for me. And it took a lot of different scenarios and trying different things that I looked up, and this is what I came up with. So let's take a look. Okay, so funny thing, life happened. I forgot to make the rest of the video. It's now mid-October, and this is why I need to do this video, is because productivity, time blocking, all of the things, right? But let's be real, the reason that I didn't get to it is because I didn't put it in my schedule. If it's not in my schedule, it doesn't exist. So through all these tips and everything that I'm going to show you, the one thing I forgot to put in my schedule was making YouTube videos. That's gonna go in the schedule now to make sure that I stay up to date on those and start pushing out some more content. All right, so the first thing that I start with are the things that are non-negotiable. For example, I have a homestead. I have animals that need fed in the morning. They have to be let out and put up at certain times. So those things are prioritized in my schedule because I can't get away with not doing them. The other thing is school drop-off and school pickup. Those things are non-negotiable unless I can get somebody else to cover them, but ultimately that's not really where I'm at. The other things that are non-negotiable are certain regular events that repeat weekly, like scouts. Other things for you that are non-negotiables might be recurring events that happen every week, regularly scheduled meetings, your work, if you are not self-employed, when you go to work, other kids' sports or activities, after school, things like that. So start there. We're going to reverse engineer. Because I know that my son has to be to school at a certain time, so he has to be there by 7:30. School starts at 7:45. It takes me X time to drive, and I need X amount of time to take care of the animals. So that means I need to leave by a certain time. Okay, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I'm talking about. Non-negotiable. 7:30 drop off. I have to have him there. I have a 15-minute window from 7:30 to 7:45 that he would be late. So I Googled how long is it to get from my house to the school. It's a 35-minute drive, give or take 10 minutes for extra time. I give myself 10 extra minutes because I am prone to forgetting something and I have to turn around and come back and get it. So that's my extra time. So come back 35 minutes, 45 extra minutes, right? I have to leave no later than 6:50. I try really hard not to leave after that, but I have an extra time cut in there. I just try not to think about it. Now, before that, I have to get ready for the day. How long does it take for me to get ready? Realistically, 20 minutes. The best thing to do is time yourself. How long does it take for you to get ready on average? I'm a very low maintenance person, so 20 minutes. That gets me to 6:30. Now, before I get ready, I want to do my chores because if something happens or goes wrong, I'm probably going to have to change. I don't want to be in my work clothes or good clothes for the day. It takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to feed the animals, water, check everyone. I like having eyes on every single animal before I leave for the day so that I know that they're all alive and well. That takes me 10 to 15 minutes, which brings me back to 6:15 when I start my chores. So this is all reverse engineering. Now, before my chores, I want time to myself. I get up before everyone else, and I want 45 minutes of alone time before anyone else wakes up. 6 o'clock is when Kale wakes up for school. I don't have that in here because it's not relevant for me, but it takes me 45 minutes to do my Miracle Morning. If you're not familiar with The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, highly recommend. I'll put a link to the book in the description, and that has really helped me. So 45 minutes to do that, and then I like to have 15 minutes between waking up and I get my morning started. So this is my morning routine, and this is how I've reverse engineered to know my timeline in the morning. Let's take a look at another example. This is the next tool that I use, resource. I learned this through a different productivity course and found it very helpful when learning how to map out my schedule and figure out what to do. Now, this is where the non-negotiables come in, right? So you have your days of the week, you have morning, afternoon, evening, depending on the times of day. And the first thing you're going to do is go through and put in your non-negotiable because you can't schedule things over your non-negotiables. Now, scouts, every Tuesday night, no matter what. And I know that a majority of Saturdays are also going to be scouts or some kind of family adventure. For me, that's a non-negotiable. I try not to work on the weekends. And then on Sundays is homesteading and other home projects. That is when we are working around the house or doing things on the homestead. You'll notice over here in this column on the days of the week, these are our chores. So every day of the week, we have a different room that we focus on, and we all work on that room together as a group. And I have certain checklists that go along with those. Here is an example of one of the sheets. It's up in the living room. I did this because I wanted to set expectations and make sure there was no confusion of what does clean mean. And we also decided together as a family on what rooms will be done on what days so that it made sense, right? Tuesdays we're gone all day. Technically, we're really not even doing chores on those days anymore. But the Tuesday chore is laundry. So if we can all work together in getting the laundry folded, put away, the laundry room cleaned, swept, mopped, yada yada, all the knickknacks and miscellaneous things that end up in there, put away. And we really just have to make up for the chore on a day that we're home if we're not there. Here's one of the other tools that I use. This is something that I got out of my coaching program. And because I am self-employed and I do have to run my own work schedule, this helps me to figure out where I need to spend time. And I just plan out my optimal day and try to work around that. All of the things that I'm talking about are things that I've began implementing years ago and fine-tuned to what works for me. And then what's my optimal week look like? That's similar to the other one that I showed you in this book. I told you I was going to tell you the why behind some of this and why I do some of the things the way I do. Now, if you looked at my morning routine, you'll notice that on there it doesn't say anything about making breakfast. I'm very fortunate to have a husband who's very active in parenting and in the home, planning, cooking, cleaning. So this all doesn't fall on me, which makes a huge difference. I'm not one of the best cooks. I don't like doing it, so it's not my strong suit. And I pay attention to that, and this is what I use. Now, to plan the breakfasts so that we could be on the same page, I talked to my husband. I said, hey, what days are you willing to cook and what days should I take so that I know ahead of time how to plan accordingly? And the days where I have to cook or be responsible for making sure that the kid eats before he goes to school are the simple things. Oatmeal, right? He can make this himself. I can whip it together. Sometimes it's overnight oats, a bagel or a muffin, something he can do on his own, because realistically, that's just not my strong suit. And I know that, and I will own up to it, and that's okay. Now, the other thing that I'll point out as well, and why I do this, I try and do some meal prepping on Sundays. And that's, our homestead days. We will make breakfast sandwiches or burritos, something, egg bites that are easy to warm up the next day. And he can do it himself. He's 10, he's going to middle school. He needs to start learning how to do this on his own. He's doing pretty good. One of the other things that I noticed of my bad habits is watching TV at night. I got into a really bad habit of sitting down to decompress at the end of the day, watching TV. And next thing I know, it would be 11, 12, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning. I was still up, nibbling on crap food, not getting good rest, and sleeping in more. So I started limiting myself to certain nights for TV nights, and that's it. And if I was watching TV, I was only allowed to watch 2 episodes or 1 movie. That's it. Discipline was my word for the year for 2022, and this has still been a challenge. Just found myself doing it the other night. I binge watched an entire series all day on Sunday. So, you know what? I'm human. But acknowledging where my weaknesses are and trying to find a solution is all I can do. On this chart, I just have these little things all over the house. This one's on the fridge. This is for the whole family. Sundays, when we do our meal planning, we try and plan out who's going to be where. I do color coordinate. You'll notice on all of my stuff. I try and color coordinate and keep those consistent across all forms. Number 1, figure out who's going to be working where and who's going to be available for pickup if there's other things going on. You can see where the night's TV. So Wednesdays, I do watch TV, and even if I stick to the 2 episodes or 1 movie, I still don't sleep well. I've noticed that if I watch TV the night before, even if I give myself 2 hours after watching before I go to bed, I just don't sleep well. Knowing that, Thursday, I don't make breakfast. I'm not going to be responsible for making breakfast because I probably didn't sleep the best. I should probably just stop watching TV in general, but let's be real. I came in the kitchen and I got distracted. The fact that I forgot to eat. Threw together some lunch real quick, some fresh tomatoes from the garden and basil from last year. It's dried. I'm gonna have a little snack and then I'll finish this video. Okay, I'm gonna show you a couple more things. Hurry up and get this wrapped up. I know I feel like I've kind of been rambling, but this is one of the other things that I use. I just got this from the Dollar Tree and I map out my weeks. Because I'm self-employed, like I said, it's hard to remember and stay on task. So these are the things that I have to do each week, and I just keep it pinned up on the wall behind me. I also duplicated this and put it into my digital calendar as well, so I can show you that. The way I decided what should go on here is I really wrote down all the tasks that I have to do and what are my priorities and scheduled those into my calendar. This was another tool that I created to help me. Ultimately, what I did was try and implement a new healthy habit per month, such as no eating after 8 o'clock in the evening, getting 7,000 steps a day, no TV nights, morning and evening routines. That's kind of how I came up with this, to make sure to help hold me accountable and give me a checklist, get me set up for the next day. And it's just a dry erase. I laminated it. So keep it with me in the morning and in the evening, and need to update it. I changed just a few things. So here is a look at my digital calendar. I know for some people this will probably give you anxiety, but for me, it is a system that I have in place that I've slowly been implementing, and it's not even finalized yet, but this really helps me know exactly where I need to be and what I'm doing. So you'll see here, I talked about having my miracle morning, and this tells me what is on that list to do, my savers, and then the homestead chores, hitting the road when I need to, when it's time to study each morning, where I need to go, my hours of power, yada yada. So this is all pretty repetitive throughout the week. And then after 2 o'clock is when I have my scheduled meetings, and that's where I'm still working on adding those set appointment times, because I try not to take appointments until after 2 o'clock. I guess while we're on this, I'll show you too one thing we've been doing in the evening, not just the evening routine that I showed on the other sheet, but this is something that I like to use with the family, and I have an alarm go off that tells me it's time. So we do a 10-minute tidy up as together as a family of the main living space, because that's just one of those things we have to touch every day, like the kitchen, the living room. Otherwise, it's hard to wait the entire week until that day comes for the chore. Well, that's about what I have. Honestly, it was more about reflecting back on my behavior and making decisions that would set me up for success, knowing where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. I mean, that's my suggestion, and implementing some tools. Start with one thing at a time and talk to your family and friends about it too, and get some accountability. I know that it's ever changing. Honestly, the last week I haven't even been taking my son to school. He's been riding the bus because I had a week-long conference that I had to be in a different town. We just do what we can and try and stick to it the best as possible. But I hope that you found something in this video that you can implement. Please let me know if you have any questions. Drop those questions in the comments. We can talk about it. I tried to come up with a list of all of the different things that I've done, but really it's just, like I said, grown over the years. If you like this, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and keep your eye out for future content. Thanks for watching.